start discussing about botany from section A, that is question number 101 to 135. So the booklet that I'm using is of GOT E1. The first question says, given below are two statements, one is labeled as assertion and the other is labeled as reason. Here the assertion says the first stage of gametophyte in the life cycle of moths is protonema stage. The assertion is correct because the first stage of the gametophytic plant body in the life cycle of moth plant is protonema. The reason says protonema develops directly from spores produced in capsule. The reason is also correct. If we have a look here, the life cycle of moth plant. The assertion says the first stage of gametophyte in the life cycle of moths is protonema stage. So this one is the gametophytic phase, haploid phase. This is the sporophytic phase, that is the diploid phase. So the assertion is correct because the first stage, it is shown here that the first stage of the gametophytic plant body is the protonema stage. So this is the first stage of gametophyte in the life cycle of moth plant, the protonema stage. And the reason says that this protonema develops directly from the spores. So we can see here that the capsule will rupture and the spores are released, and these spores will directly give rise to the protonema. So both assertion and reason are correct. But the reason is not the correct explanation of assertion, which means the correct answer will be option 1. Both A and R are correct, and both A and R are correct, and R is the correct explanation of A. Assertion is correct, reason is correct, and the reason is the correct explanation of assertion. So option will be number 1. Coming to 102, question number 102. Here the question says in angiosperms, the haploid, diploid and triploid structures of a fertilized embryo sac sequentially are. The correct answer here is option 3. So haploid, then they have given us diploid. So according to test booklet GOT E1, question number 102, it says, in angiosperms, the haploid, diploid, and triploid structures of a fertilized embryo sac sequentially are. So the correct option will be option 3, that is synergids, because synergids are haploid, and the zygote will be diploid, and the triploid will be the primary endosperm nucleus. So this is the embryo sac. The embryo sac has two polar nuclei. The embryo sac has two polar nuclei, one egg cell, and it has two synergids. Then it also has 3 antibodal cells. Now, when double fertilization is about to start, there are two male gametes. So in double fertilization, we see that out of the two male gametes, one will go and fuse with the two polar nuclei. So the two polar nuclei, this is diploid. So after fertilization, it becomes 3N, which we call it as primary endosperm nucleus. So here the primary endosperm nucleus is diploid. For synergids, they are haploid because these are the two synergids. This is haploid, this is also haploid. Then we have the zygote, diploid. Now the other male gamete will go and fuse with the egg cell. So egg cell is haploid, the other male gamete is haploid. So we get 2N, which is the diploid zygote. So for the second question, 102, in angiosperms, the haploid, diploid and triploid structures of a fertilized embryo sac will be synergids, zygote and primary endosperm nucleus. Moving to question number 103, the question says, movement and accumulation of ions across a membrane against their concentration gradient can be explained by. So in order to understand short distance transport in plants, there are three topics, there are three terms we have diffusion, then we have facilitated diffusion, then the other one we have is the active transport. So these three terms are necessary to understand how short distance transport occur in plants. So out of these three, this one here, the movement of ions or water molecules occurs from high to low, from high concentration to low. For facilitated also from high concentration to low, whereas for active transport, it starts from low concentration to high concentration. So here we say that the movement of molecules occurs against a concentration gradient, which we also called it as the uphill transport. Hence, the correct answer will be number 4, that is active transport. So for question number 103, the correct answer is option 4, that is active transport. Coming to question number 104. Large, colorful, fragrant flowers with nectar are seen in, the correct answer is option 1, that is insect-pollinated plants. The flowers are large and colorful. So the reason why flowers are colorful and large and they produce fragrance is to attract insects. So it will be insect-pollinated plants. And when pollination takes place with the help of insects, we call it as entomophily. Coming to question number 105. The phenomenon of pleiotropism refers to, the correct answer will be pleiotropism. How do we define pleiotropism? A single gene affecting multiple phenotypic expression. So the question for question number 105, the correct answer is option 3, a single gene affecting multiple phenotypic expression. This is well understood with the disease that is called as sickle cell anemia, a single gene affecting multiple phenotypic expression. Coming to the next question, which hormone promotes internode pitoil elongation in tip water rice? This is from the chapter Plant Growth and Development. So we have 5 hormones here. So the hormone which helps in elongation of the internode or elongation of the pitoil so that the rice plants can come out from the water. The correct answer for this is ethylene. Option 3, that is ethylene. Now coming to the next question, question number 107, it says, among the evil quartet, which one is considered the most important cause driving extinction of species? So what is the evil quartet? The term evil quartet is related to 4 major causes of biodiversity loss. So the 4 major causes of biodiversity loss are habitat loss and fragmentation, alien species invasion, co-extinction, and overexploitation. So here they're asking us out of these 4, which is the most important cause driving extinction of species. So the most important cause of all these 4 will be the habitat loss and fragmentation. So for question number 107, the correct answer will be option 1. Coming to the next one, that is question number 108. Upon exposure to UV radiation, DNA stamped with ethidium bromide will show. So they have given us red, blue, yellow, orange color. The correct answer will be number 4, that is bright orange color. The next one, which micronutrient is required for splitting of water molecule during photosynthesis? So in photosynthesis chapter, we have learned about mechanism of photosynthesis, which gets completed in 2 reactions, that is light reaction and the other one is dark reaction. So the question they are asking here is about the photolysis, splitting of water molecule during photosynthesis. So in light reaction, we have 2 topics here, that is non-cyclic phosphorylation, and the other one we have here is cyclic phosphorylation. So the splitting of water, which we also call it as photolysis, occurs in the non-cyclic phosphorylation. Photolysis, which means splitting of water. So Here water will split into a pair of electron, a pair of proton, and a nascent oxygen. So water splits into a pair of electron, a pair of proton, and a nascent oxygen. So this is done to replace the electrons that are lost in non-cyclic phosphorylation. So here the micronutrient that is required for splitting of water into these products is manganese. The micronutrient that is required is manganese. So the correct option will be number 1. So for question number 109, the correct option is number 1, manganese. Coming to question number 110, exile placentation is observed in, the correct answer will be option 4, that is China rose, petunia, and lemon. So this is how the exile placentation looks like. So this is the exile placentation, and this type of placentation, that is, placentation means arrangement of ovules, the seeds within the ovary, that is the fruit. So exile placentation is seen in China rose, petunia, and lemon. Coming to the next one, that is question number 111. The process of appearance of recombination nodules occurs at which substage of process 1 in meiosis? The correct answer will be number 2, that is pectitin. So it is in the pectitin stage of process 1 in meiosis, the appearance of recombination nodules occurs. So what are these recombination nodules? These are the sites at which crossing over occurs between non-sister chromatids of the homologous pair. The next question, 112. The reaction center in PS2 has an absorption maxima at, the correct answer is number 1, that is 680 nanometer. 680 nanometer. Question number 113. Unequivocal proof that DNA is the genetic material was first proposed by, the correct answer is option 2, that is Alfred Hershey and Martha Chase. So in order to prove DNA as the genetic material, the first experiment was done by Griffith. It was not so convincing, so again after 16 years later, Avery, McLeod, and McCarthy, they conducted another experiment. But the last one, which was done by Hershey and Chase, that was an they gave an unequivocal proof that DNA is the genetic material. So in question number 113, the correct answer is option 2. Coming to question number 114, among eukaryotes, replication of DNA takes place in, this is a very simple and direct one, that is the S phase. So in cell cycle and cell division, we have learned that there are this G phase, G1 phase, S phase, G2 phase, G0 phase. So in the S phase, DNA replication occurs. So it is in the S phase, it is in this phase, S phase, it's clearly written here, DNA replication occurs. Coming to the next one, that is question number 115. In tissue culture experiments, leaf mesophyll cells are put in a culture medium to form callus. This phenomenon may be called as, the correct answer is option 2, that is differentiation. Coming to question number 116, cellulose does not form blue color with iodine because the correct answer is option 3. It does not contain complex helices and hence cannot hold iodine molecules. If we look at the structure of cellulose, the structure of cellulose is very simple compared to the other structures. So for cellulose, their structure is very simple. It looks somewhat like this cellulose. They do not have complex helices. In case of starch, if we are talking about starch, the structure looks like this, where we can see complex helices. So for starch, if it was starch they form blue color with iodine. If it was starch, they form blue color with iodine because the iodine gets accumulated inside the complex helices, whereas for cellulose, they do not have this complex helices. So for cellulose, they do not form blue color with iodine because it does not contain complex helices and hence cannot hold iodine molecules. Coming to question number 117. Spraying of which of the following phytohormone on juvenile conifers helps in hastening the maturity period that leads to early seed production? So the answer is direct here. The correct answer is option 2, that is gibberellic acid. The next one, question number 118. This is from transport in plants. Statement 1. It says, the forces generated by transpiration can leave a xylem-sized column of water over 130 meters high. So in this chapter, we have learned how long-distance transport in water takes place. For short plants, the theory that helps us understand how ascent of sap takes place is the root pressure theory. For the tall plants that are several meters high, the theory that helps us understand how ascent of sap occurs is transpirational pool theory. So here the statement 1, which says, because of the forces generated by transpirational pool, the water column can be lifted up over 130 meters height. So this is correct. For statement 2, transpiration cools leaf surfaces sometimes 10 to 15 degrees by evaporative cooling. So statement 2 is also correct. So for question number 118, the correct option is both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct. Question number 119. This is from Morphology of Flowering Plants. So in Morphology of Flowering Plants, they have given us 3 families, that is Fabaceae, Solanaceae, and Liliaceae. So we are asked to compare these 3 families with respect to the androecium, that is the stamens. So the question says, family Fabaceae differs from Solanaceae and Liliaceae. With respect to the statements, pick out the characteristics specific to family Fabaceae but not found in Solanaceae or Liliaceae. So the correct answer here is option 1, that is Diadelphus and Ditechus enter. So Diadelphus stamen. This is not seen in the family Solanaceae and Liliaceae. So Diadelphus stamen, and Ditechus enter is seen only in family Fabaceae, which is not seen in the family Solanaceae and Liliaceae. 4 different types of arrangement of stamens in a flower: monoadelphus, diadelphus, polyadelphus, polyandrous. So this one, diadelphus, this condition where in case of, we are talking about Fabaceae. So in case of Fabaceae family, they have 10 stamens, and these 10 stamens are arranged in this condition, 9 plus 1. So this will form one group and this one will form one group. So when the stamens are arranged in 2 groups, we call that condition as diadelphous condition. So this is one group and this is the other group. And remember that in diadelphous condition, only the filaments are fused, the anthers are free. So for question number 119, the correct answer is option 1. Coming to 120, expressed sequence text ESTS refers to, that the correct answer is option 1, all genes that are expressed as RNA. Question number 121, identify the correct statements. Tetrivores perform fragmentation. Tetrivores perform fragmentation. So the second one, it says, the humus is further degraded by some microbes during mineralization. Option A is correct. Option B is also correct. Option C, water-soluble inorganic nutrients go down into the soil and get precipitated by a process called leaching. Option C is also correct. Option D, the detritus food chain begins with living organisms. So here, starting from option D and E, these are incorrect statements. Detritus food chain. Detritus, it's non-living, so the food chain cannot start with living organisms. So option D is wrong. Option E is also wrong because earthworms break down detritus into smaller particles by a process called fragmentation. The correct answer should be fragmentation. Here they have given catabolism. So the correct answer from the options given above, below are the first one, that is A, B, C only. 122. The thickness of ozone in a column of air in atmosphere is measured in terms of, first option, Dobson units. So the correct answer is Dobson units. For decibels, this is used for measuring sound. So Dobson units, this is the correct answer. Question number 123. Given below are two statements, assertion and reason. Assertion says lead wood has fewer xylary elements with narrow vessels. So lead wood is also called as autumn wood. The assertion here is correct because lead wood, autumn wood, they have few xylary elements. Xylem elements, which means they have few vessels. In angiosperms, vessels. In gymnosperms, tracheids. And the vessels are narrow. Narrow means the lumen of the vessels will be narrow. The reason says cambium is less active in winters. Assertion is correct and the reason is also correct. The cambium is less active in winters. And here the reason is also the correct explanation of assertion. So for question number 123, the correct answer is 1. Both assertion and reason are true, and reason is the correct explanation of A. Question number 124, we have, it says, which of the following stages of meiosis involves division of centromere? Division of centromere, which we can also call it as splitting of chromosomes. When the centromere splits, divides, the chromosomes are also splitted. So we can also say division of centromere or splitting of chromosomes. So the correct answer is the question number 124. The correct answer is NFS 2. The correct answer is NFS 2. Meiosis 2 of NFS 2. Question number 125. The historic convention on biological diversity, the Earth Summit, was held in Rio de Janeiro in the year. Earth Summit was held in the year 1992. If it was World Summit, the year would have been 2002, but they are asking us about Earth Summit, so it is 1992, option 2. Coming to the next one, from photosynthesis chapter, they are asking us about Calvin cycle. So they are asking us how many ATP and NADPH2 are required to synthesize one molecule of glucose. So in order to synthesize one molecule of glucose, C6H12O6. They are asking us how many ATP and how many NADPH2 are required. So 18 ATP and 12 NADPH2. 18 ATP and 12 NADPH2. So in order to synthesize one molecule of glucose, 18 ATP is required and 12 NADPH2 is required. So the correct option is 2. Coming to the next one, question number 127. In the equation GPP minus R, GPP minus R is equal to NPP. They are asking us what this R stands for. The correct answer is respiratory loss. Respiratory loss. So 127, the correct answer is option 3. Coming to 128, another direct question here. During the purification process for recombinant DNA technology, rDNA technology, they are talking about biotechnology, genetic engineering. Addition of chilled ethanol precipitates out DNA. The correct answer is option 2, that is DNA. The next one, what is the role of RNA polymerase III in the process of transcription in eukaryotes? So the correct answer is option 2. The role of RNA polymerase III is RNA polymerase III helps in transcription of tRNA, 5srRNA, and snRNA. In eukaryotes, there are 3 RNAs: RNA polymerase I, RNA polymerase II, and we have RNA polymerase III. So they're asking us about RNA polymerase II. So what is the role of RNA polymerase III? Sorry, they're asking us about RNA polymerase III. So RNA polymerase II, it helps in the synthesis of mRNA, but in eukaryotes we know that hnRNA is synthesized first, then comes mRNA. And this one, RNA polymerase III, it helps in the synthesis of tRNA along with 5srRNA and snRNA. And this one, it helps in the synthesis of ribosomal RNA. This is only in eukaryotes. In prokaryotes, there is just one RNA polymerase which helps in the synthesis of all the 3 types of RNA. So the correct answer here is option 2. Coming to the next one, question number 131. Identify the pair of heterosporous pteridophytes among the following. So in pteridophytes, these pteridophytes, they can be heterosporous, which means they produce 2 different types of spores. One is microspore and the other one is the megaspore. So pteridophytes can be of 2 types, heterosporous and homosporous. For homosporous, they produce only one kind of spore. So they're asking us which pteridophytes are heterosporous. That means which pteridophytes produce 2 different types of spores. The correct answer is Selaginella and Salvinia. Option 2, it will be Selaginella and Salvinia. Coming to question number 132 from Biotechnology Principles and Processes. The question says, in gene gun method used to introduce alien DNA into host cells, microparticles of dash metal are used. The correct answer is tungsten or coal. So the gene of interest which they want to introduce into the host cell, they are coated with tungsten particles or coal particles. So the correct answer here is option 3. Question number 133. Given below are 2 statements. Statement 1. Endarch and exarch are the terms often used for describing the position of secondary xylem in the plant body. Statement 1 is incorrect because instead of secondary xylem, the correct one is primary xylem. Endarch and exarch are the terms often used for describing the position of primary xylem in the plant body. Statement 2, exarch condition is the most common feature of the root system. Statement 2 is correct. So exarch is found in the exarch arrangement of xylem is found in the root system. Endarch arrangement is found in the leaf and also in the stem. So here statement 1 is incorrect and statement 2 is correct. So for question number 133, the correct option is number 4. Statement 1 is incorrect but statement 2 is correct, true. Question number 134, frequency of recombination between gene pairs on same chromosome as a measure of the distance between genes to map their position on chromosome was used for the first time by, the correct option is 3, Alfred Stardeven. Question number 135. Assertion and reason. Assertion says ATP is used at 2 steps in glycolysis. So this is from respiration chapter, glycolysis. In splitting of glucose, glucose will first split into glucose 6-phosphate, then it splits into fructose 6-phosphate, then it splits into fructose 1,6-biphosphate. So here we see that when glucose changes into glucose 6-phosphate, phosphate group is added here, 1 phosphate is added here, and we are taking it from ATP. So in this step, when glucose changes into glucose 6-phosphate, ATP is used. And also here there is just 1 phosphate, here we have 2 phosphate. So another phosphate is added by taking from this one, adenosine triphosphate. So now it becomes adenosine diphosphate. So in 2 steps we are using ATP. So assertion is correct. ATP is used at 2 steps in glycolysis. Reason, first ATP is used in converting glucose into glucose 6-phosphate, and second ATP is used in conversion of fructose 6-phosphate to fructose 1,6-biphosphate. So assertion is also correct, reason is also correct. But here the reason is not the correct explanation of assertion. Assertion is correct, reason is also correct. But here the reason should be, they should be explaining why we are using ATP. But they are not explaining here why we are using ATP. Instead, they have given us just a statement which says ATP is used in converting this into this and this into this. So the reason should be why we are using ATP is because while converting glucose into glucose 6-phosphate, there is no phosphate here, but here we have phosphate. So in order to add phosphate here, adenosine triphosphate is used. Again, here we have just 1 phosphate, here we have 2 phosphate. So in order to add 1 more phosphate here, ATP is used. So assertion is correct, reason is also correct, but reason is not the correct explanation of assertion. So the correct one is, for question number 135, the correct one is option 2. Both A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. Coming to question number 136, we have to find which is the incorrect statement. The first one says the microorganisms involved in biodegradation of organic matter in a sewage polluted water body consume a lot of oxygen, causing the death of aquatic organisms. That is correct. Algal blooms caused by excess of organic matter in water improve water quality and promote fisheries. Here for question number 136, option 2 is not correct. Option 3 is also correct. Option 4 is also correct. So for question number 136, option 2 is incorrect. Question number 137. How many different proteins does the ribosome consist of? The correct answer is 80, option 1. Coming to question number 138, we have to find out the correct statement about Klinefelter's syndrome. The first statement says this disorder was first described by Langton Down. So that is wrong, because the disorder described by Langton Down was Down syndrome. So he did not describe Klinefelter syndrome. First option is incorrect. Second one, such an individual has overall masculine development. However, the feminine development is also expressed. Option B is correct. A is incorrect. Option B is correct. Option C, the affected individual is short stature. That is incorrect. This symptom is seen in Down syndrome, not seen in Klinefelter's. Option D, physical, psychomotor, and mental development is retarded. That is also incorrect, because again, option C and option D, these two symptoms are seen in Down syndrome, not Klinefelter's. Option E, such individuals are sterile. That is correct. Which means the correct statements are B and E. So option 3, B and E only. Coming to the match the column, match list 1 with list 2, question number 139. So here oxidative decarboxylation. Oxidative decarboxylation, the correct answer is pyruvate dehydrogenase. Glycolysis, the correct answer is EMP pathway, because glycolysis was given by Emton, Meyerhoff and Parnas. So together we also call it as EMP pathway. The third one, oxidative phosphorylation, the correct answer is ETC, electron transport system. Then the fourth one, dry carboxylic acid cycle, is the correct option will be citrate synthase. Moving to the next one, question number 140. Assertion and reason. Assertion says a flower is defined as a modified shoot. So that is correct, because flower is defined as a modified shoot, wherein the shoot apical meristem changes to floral meristem. The reason they have given is internode of the shoot gets condensed to produce different floral appendages laterally at successive nodes instead of leaves. The reason they have given this is also correct. So assertion is correct because flower is a modified shoot, and the reason is also correct because in flower we have 4 halls, that is calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium, and all this arises because the shoot, the internode of the shoot, it becomes condensed. The internode of the shoot, what is an internode? In stems we have nodes from where leaf arises, and the space between 2 nodes is internodes. So they are saying that these internodes, they become condensed, then only it gives us to produce different floral appendages, which means the floral appendages means calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium, laterally at successive nodes instead of leaves. So assertion is correct, reason is also correct, and the reason is the correct explanation of assertion. Because assertion says flower is defined as a modified shoot, and they have explained us in the reason why we call it as a modified shoot. Because the shoot becomes modified, that is the shoot gets condensed to produce the flower, different floral appendages. So for question number 140, both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A, option 1. 141, assertion and reason. Assertion says in gymnosperms, the pollen grains are released from the microsporangium and carried by air currents. So assertion is correct. In gymnosperms, pollination occurs with the help of wind, that is anemophily, so that is correct, air currents, wind, anemophily. Reason, air currents carry the pollen grains to the mouth of the archegonia, where the male gametes are discharged and pollen tube is not formed. Reason is wrong, because it should have been pollen tube is formed. Here they have given pollen tube is not formed. So the correct answer will be option 3, assertion is true but reason is false. Coming to question number 142, match the column. The correct answer will be for cohesion. Cohesion is the attraction between alike molecules, water and water molecules, for example. So for cohesion, the correct answer will be in the list 2, option 2, mutual attraction among water. Then for attation, the correct answer is more attraction in liquid phase. Attation is the attraction between different molecules, say attraction between lignin molecules and water molecules. So more attraction in liquid phase. For C, surface tension, the correct one will be attraction towards polar surfaces. For D, catation, catation is the loss of water in liquid phase, unlike transpiration where water is lost in the form of water vapor. So for cohesion, mutual attraction among water, attation. For attation, more attraction in liquid phase. Surface tension will be attraction towards polar surfaces. Catation, water loss in liquid phase. The next one, question number 143. Which of the following combinations is required for chemiosmosis? So chemiosmosis, this is from photosynthesis chapter. It helps us, this topic or theory, it helps us understand how ATP synthesis occurs in chloroplast. So which of the following combinations is required for this to happen, for ATP synthesis to occur in chloroplast? So a membrane is needed, then proton pump. The proton pumps are F0, F1. Then we need a proton gradient, and then we need ATP synthase. So the correct answer for question number 143 will be option 1, membrane, proton pump, proton gradient, then ATP synthase. For question number 144, malonate inhibits the growth of pathogenic bacteria by inhibiting the activity of option 1. The correct answer is succinic dehydrogenase. Coming to question number 145, identify the correct statements. The first option says lenticels are the lens-shaped openings permitting the exchange of gases. That is correct. Lenticels are found in older trees, older woods. That is correct. That is used for exchange of gases. Option P, bark formed early in the season is called hard bark. So that is incorrect. Option B is incorrect because the bark that is formed early in the season is called soft bark. For option C, bark is a technical term that refers to all tissues exterior to vascular cambium. This is incorrect because in your NCERT textbook they have given as bark is a non-technical term. So it should actually have been written non-technical term. And the other one, instead of hard bark, it should have been soft bark. Option D, bark refers to peritheme and secondary phloem. That is correct. So till now A and D is correct. Option E, phylogen is single layered in thickness. That is also incorrect. So the correct option here is option D, A, lenticels, exchange of gases. That is correct. And D, bark refers to peritheme and secondary phloem. So A and D only. Coming to question number 146. Match the column list 1 with list 2. M phase, the correct one will be option 4, equational division. Then G2 phase, the correct one will be proteins are synthesized. Quiescent phase, this will be the inactive phase. For G1 phase, it will be interval between mitosis and initiation of DNA replication. So the correct option will be 2. A4, B2, C1, and A will be 4, G2 will be 1, quiescent stage option C will be 2, inactive phase, and option D, G1 phase will be number 3, interval between mitosis and initiation of DNA replication. Coming to question number 147. Match list 1 with list 2. Question number 147. The correct answer will be for mutualism. It will be for mutualism, both the species are benefited. Then for commensalism, species A is benefited while there is no effect on species B. For amensalism, it has negative effect on species A and no effect on species B. For parasitism, beneficial for species A, but it is harmful for species B. Question number 148, it says statement 1, Gauss competitive exclusion principle states that two closely related species competing for the same resources cannot coexist, and competitively inferior one will be eliminated eventually. That is correct. Statement 2, in general, carnivores are more adversely affected. This is incorrect because the correct one should have been herbivores. In general, instead of carnivores, it should have been herbivores are more adversely affected by competition than carnivores. So the correct answer here is for question number 148. Statement 1 is correct. Statement 2 is incorrect. Option 3. Statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is false. The last one here, question number 150. Main steps in the formation of recombinant DNA are given below. Arrange these steps in a correct sequence. So here the question is from biotechnology principles and processes. They are asking us about the correct steps carried out in genetic engineering, that is RTT, while constructing rDNA. So the first step will be isolation of desired DNA fragment. Then the second step should be cutting of DNA at specific location by restriction enzyme. CB, then amplification of gene of interest using PCR, D. CBD, and the last one will be A, insertion of recombinant DNA into the host cell. So for question number 150, the last question number 150, the correct answer is C, isolation, B, cutting, D, amplification, then A, insertion.